wake up anxious, you overthink everything, you're always the one that shows up and gets stuff done, but you feel like no one ever really shows up for you, and underneath it all, you just feel absolutely exhausted. It feels like you're caught in some sort of hell loop, this vicious cycle that no matter what you do, you can never seem to break. Today, we're going to talk about how to break that cycle. My name is Sean. I'm a mental health coach. I see 40 plus clients a week, and I have a 98% satisfaction score from over 1,600 ratings. Honestly, I'm really nervous to talk about it because it's something that I've been working on behind the scenes for months. It is something that I have poured my heart into, and I genuinely believe that it is some of my best work. So if you feel trapped, stuck, powerless, I made this for you. So what is it? It is the End the Cycle course, and it is a course that is designed to help you work with your emotions rather than constantly fighting against them. It helps you to rewrite painful narratives that are driving your behavior, and it helps you intentionally craft a life that is fulfilling for you. The course follows the same modality that I use in my coaching work one-on-one with clients, which is a three-part process. Part one is emotional empowerment, which is essentially the idea that we so often, whether we know it or not, invalidate our own experiences, our own emotions. And so when we do that, what ends up happening is that an antagonistic relationship forms between us and our emotions, where we are constantly fighting against one another. And so the first part of the course, the first module of the course, is all about helping you to form a better relationship with your emotions, where you two can actually be on the same page. Because so often you just hear advice like, just be compassionate with yourself. And then when you say that stuff, when you say compassionate stuff to yourself, it just feels empty and void of any meaning, because deep down, you know that you're lying to yourself. Deep down, you know that you don't actually believe any of the stuff that you're saying to yourself. And so we take a very different approach in helping you to understand and get on the same page with your emotions so that you two can start working together at healing rather than just trying to cover over it with some sort of blanket. The next section of the course is narrative navigation, which is that throughout our lives, these narratives, stories get written for us. I sort of think about them like lines of code, looping lines of code that no matter what you do, they just always run automatically. And honestly, some of those narratives, some of those codes are very useful. You know, you get up every morning, you brush your teeth. You get up every morning, you eat breakfast, whatever it is. Those can be very useful. But there are some narratives that become maladaptive. They stop helping us and start hurting us. And so the idea of narrative navigation is to start to identify what your narratives are and identify which ones are helping you, which ones are hurting you. And for the ones that are no longer serving you, we help you to rewrite them. And finally, the last section of the course is called Dharma Design, which is essentially helping you to intentionally craft a life that is fulfilling for you. We are constantly inundated with shoulds, with expectations, with things that we're comparing to others on social media and all sorts of stuff. And so it becomes very hard to tune in to what is actually important to us. And this course walks you through that process of tuning into what is actually important to you so that you can then start to intentionally craft a life around that, rather than trying to chase down some railroad track, some yellow brick road that you don't actually care about. And what I see with a lot of people that I work with is that they have gone down that yellow brick road and they've sort of reached the end of the yellow brick road. And at the end, they've found that the wizard is a big phony. And so instead, we start to redirect them toward the thing that is actually important to them. And here's the thing. Yes, absolutely, I do this for a living. I make money off of this. But the genuine reason that I do this kind of work is because it feels incredibly purposeful to me. And this idea of Dharma design, a big part of my Dharma design is this work. And so I genuinely want this to be helpful for you. So how do you know if it's right for you? Because I don't want you to take this course if it's not right for you. So like I was talking about in the beginning, if you feel like you are constantly showing up for everybody else and no one shows up for you, if you feel like you are caught in some sort of loop, whatever that loop might be, whatever sort of cycle that might be, if you have been through all of the sort of typical approaches like therapy, psychiatry, self-help books, if you've been through all that stuff and nothing really seems to have helped. And then finally, the last thing is that if you want more than just function, if you want to find fulfillment in your life, if you think that life should be more than sort of function and survival, then this course is right for you, at least from my perspective. But don't take my word for it. There's actually a free 2-minute quiz where you can get an idea of the things that may be keeping you stuck in this cycle, and I'll leave a link to that down in the description. So let's talk about what you get in the course. Like I said, there are 3 core modules. There is emotional empowerment, narrative navigation, and Dharma design. And within those, we talk about various topics. So we talk about validation and how people often gaslight themselves and how to get away from that. We talk about tools for emotional regulation that are actually tactical. So a lot of times people will be like, you just need to process your emotions, but no one ever says how the heck you're supposed to actually do that. So we go through the sort of tactical steps of what processing your emotions actually looks like. And then finally, a trauma-informed framework to process what it is that comes up. And then in the narrative navigation section, we build awareness of your inner voices. So those voices that are constantly fighting you in your head, we start to form more of a relationship with them so that you can work with them rather than against them. We addressed specific identity-based narratives. So there are a few different narratives that I go over in the course that are actually just meant to give you an idea of what narratives look like. And also, narrative navigation is hard because understanding what your narrative is while you are in it, it's actually very hard to see, which is why external perspective can be so helpful. And so I just give some narratives that I see a lot with the people that I work with, which, may be, if you resonate with this kind of work, you may also resonate with these narratives. So I talk about the self-hate narrative, which is a super common one that I see, the gifted kid narrative, the neurodivergent narrative, and the immigrant narrative. And then the last part of the narrative navigation section is you learn how to name patterns and communicate with your needs. So like I said, a lot of people get completely disconnected from what it is that is actually important to them. And so we help you to get back in touch with that. And then finally, the last section of the course is Dharma design. Get clear on who you are, what matters to you, where you're going. So we start out with purpose work, where we help you to discover what feels purposeful to you. And that is very different than finding your purpose. It's not like this grand, lofty goal, and we talk more about that in the course. And then we talk about the fundamentals needed to build your own meditation practice. We get a little bit into some sort of spirituality and tools to help you get in touch with the things that are really important to you, the things that you really feel drawn toward. And what's cool about this is that once you get an understanding of these fundamentals, you can actually see it everywhere. So any meditation practice that you look at, you will see the sort of core fundamental parts of it and be able to almost dissect it and then find what is best for you, take pieces from things you like, throw away pieces that you don't. And then finally, we talk about some sort of general ideas around spirituality and like integrating that into your life. And the course comes with a digital workbook that is a core part of the course. So throughout each video, I literally go through the workbook with you and help you to fill it out. Because ultimately, I can, be a talking head and tell you all this information, but one of the most useful things is the integration process, is you going out and actually doing and trying things, see how they work for you. Because ultimately, I don't want you to take my word for stuff. I want you to experience it for yourself, see what works, what doesn't, and iterate from there. This is the website, by the way. This is ostaracoaching.com/course. I'll leave a link to it down in the description. And you can get a sneak peek of what the workbook looks like. This is the communication boundaries page and it's all supplemented by the stuff that I talk about in the course. But I just wanted you to be able to get an idea of what it was that you were getting into. And like I was talking about before, I think that being able to iterate, see what works for you, and then adapt and continue to make it better for yourself is really, really important, which is why the community portion of this is so important. Because the way that I have it set up, it's not just like you're doing this course all by yourself. Everyone else who is doing the course is going to be able to, comment on the course, respond to each other, and I'll also be there looking at comments, responding to people, helping people to get deeper into the work, or helping people to, if they're running into roadblocks in the work that they're doing, helping people to look for different things. And so the community aspect is really important. And then finally, even if, you go through all this and then you decide that it's not right for you, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. So there's no risk on your end. It's just like, let me try this out, see if it works. And if it doesn't, just send me an email telling me why, so that I can, continue to improve it and help people more, and I'll give you your money back. And I'm actually running a launch event for this course. It's not officially out yet. The launch event is going to be Saturday, August 23rd at 1 p.m. And I'm going to be giving a talk where I go through neurodivergence and talk about how the END, or Emotional Empowerment Narrative Navigation Dharma Design, how this sort of modality can apply to someone with neurodivergence. And the reason for that is because I work with a lot of people who are neurodivergent, and I think that this process maps on very well and seems to have very good outcomes for people with neurodivergence. And then if you come to the launch event, whether you buy the course or not, you get an exclusive video that is an add-on to the course, and it's, like I said, available to everybody who comes. And then finally, you also get a free physical workbook if you choose to buy the course. So normally the workbook would be like $50 extra. The physical workbook would be $50 extra. But if you come to the launch event or pre-order the course now, which again, I'll leave a link for down in the description, you get the physical workbook for free so that you can actually write in it, rather than, doing it digitally or printing it out, anything like that. It's just nice to have sort of a cool physical version of the workbook for some people. And so that's a sort of added bonus for coming to the launch event and or pre-ordering the course. And one of the most important parts about this to me is that I really don't want to be another guy that says, hey, here's a course to solve all your problems, but then it doesn't actually do anything. It's not actually providing any value. So I actually ran a beta test of this course before I ever announced it or released it. I sent it to a bunch of people and got feedback from them. And so you can see what people have said about the course and see if it resonates with you. And obviously, if you do decide to take the course, I would love to hear anything that you have to say, because ultimately it's just going to help me to continue to improve the course. And if you are already part of my Substack community, where I send out on Monday and Thursday nights, I send out little just sort of mental health blurbs to try to help people, sort of free mental health resources. If you're already part of that community, that's where the course is hosted. So you can see here, it's $150 a year, but you actually get, if you pre-order the course, you get 17% off. So it's $125 instead. You get the course, you get the community, and then obviously, all of these funds are ultimately just going toward helping me to create better mental health resources, reach more people, be able to sort of have impact on a larger scale so that people can get better mental health help. And so either you can get the course and then, go through the course and cancel once you're done, or if you want, you can stay subscribed and I'll continue to, add additional things to the course as I find them and sort of add additional resources, send out little bonuses and goodies, and you can stay subscribed if you want to. So I hope that I will get to meet you at the launch event, because it's something that I'm really excited about. Like I said, I've poured my heart into this entire course, including the launch event. So I'm really excited to see you and meet you out there. And, you'll get some free goodies no matter what. So I'll leave a link down in the description where you can RSVP, register, let me know that you want to come. And I'm looking forward to seeing you there. And if you want to get a better idea of exactly what this END process looks like, the sort of journey that a client might take through this process, this video actually walks through a case study where I walk you through sort of a general pattern that I see with people and how I walk them through that pattern. And it comes from working with a lot of people like that, and then me sort of mashing it all together and putting it into one story. I call it chimerical, but no one knows what chimerical means. So anyway, check that out and I'll see you next time. Bye.